Hi, I'm Tom Magnuson with Creative Energies. I am a technical solar consultant. I have my master's in resilient and sustainable communities, where I was able to learn more about energy development in the United States, and that interest is why I pursued the solar industry.
Awesome. My name's Scott Jones. I've been with Creative Energies for 11 years. I have an MBA with an emphasis in financial analysis, leadership strategy, sit on the board of directors of the Utah Solar Energy Association, and I am NABCEP certified. That acronym stands for the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. Do a bunch of commercial project development as well as some residential sales in both solar energy and battery storage. And let's talk a little bit about the history of Creative Energies. We were founded back in 2001 by three partners that were former NOLS instructors with the National Outdoor Leadership School up in Lander, Wyoming. Looking for a way to do good by the environment, continue to play outdoors, we got into the renewable energy industry. And since then, our focus has been almost purely on solar photovoltaics and then battery storage systems.
And just another piece to add there, we are a B Corp certification, just furthering our emphasis in doing good for the environment, social justice initiatives as well.
Awesome. And piggybacking on that, I moved out here in 1995 to be a ski bum. And man, time's flown. And the reason I got into solar specifically was to help combat climate change. I really want, I've got young kids and I really want them to have the same experience growing up where we have amazing winters and clean water and clean air to breathe. So solar energy works by capturing the photons from sunlight. So when sunshine is hitting your solar panels up on your rooftop, that's turned into direct current electricity. That direct current electricity then needs to be inverted into alternating current. That's done through an inverter or through micro inverters, but then invert into alternating current that the home can use. The issue with solar alone, grid-tied solar energy alone on a rooftop, is the intermittency of that system. So it starts working when the sun comes up, it peaks during high noon, and then it wanes and then stops producing in the evening. By complementing a solar energy system with battery storage, now you solve that intermittency issue. And then you can then use your solar energy 24 hours a day. You can pull energy out of the battery that's been stored in the middle of the night, use that to continue to run your air conditioner or whatnot. If we look at solar alone as grid tied without a battery storage system, you're really dependent on the utility provider, your electric utility provider, to give you a fair and reasonable compensation rate for the portion of solar that goes back to the grid to help with the finances and the economics of the system. If you complement the system with battery storage, now you largely cut the utility company, your electric provider, out of the equation. You're much more autonomous. You improve the self-consumption of your solar. Again, you're able to use solar 24 hours a day, and you mitigate the potential for the utility to unfairly compensate you at a lower rate for that surplus energy. The flip side of adding solar plus storage is that you now have energy independence in the event of a grid failure. So if we're looking at a long-term or even a short-term grid failure, your solar on the roof continues to operate. It works concurrently with the energy that's stored in the battery. And now you have a robust energy generation plant plus storage that can provide power to the home indefinitely and perpetually while the neighbors, unfortunately, are in the dark. So let's talk a little bit about the components of a solar plus battery storage system. You start with your rooftop solar photovoltaic panels that produce direct current electricity. Those then tied together with a central inverter or microinverters that do that inversion of DC energy to AC energy. That then that system interconnects with the utility's meter. So that energy can then flow both ways. It can flow into the house or it can flow back through the meter to where your neighbors, they're in your local community, benefit from solar. Whether they know it or not, they're using your solar energy. When we introduce battery into the system, Now we are integrating what's called an automatic transfer switch, or an ATS, that can come in a few different forms, a gateway or a system controller, but regardless, it's going to be called an automatic transfer switch. That ATS seamlessly disconnects your home from the grid during a grid failure. So now your power plant on your roof, your battery storage system in the home can now continue to function independent of the grid, disconnected from the grid. Now you're autonomous. You're able to use your solar energy, whether photons are hitting the roof in the panels, or whether it's at nighttime and you're calling up energy out of the battery bank. You're able to use both of those components of the system, the PV on the roof, the solar PV on the roof, the battery storage, and to power the home indefinitely and perpetually.
Two of the panels that we're using here at Creative Energies is a Q-Cell and REC panel. We really like the manufacturers that are making those panels. Q-Cell does have US manufacturing here, which is another benefit. Both those manufacturers do have a 25-year lifetime warranty, which is great peace of mind for our customers.
Yeah, and if we totally agree. If we get into some of the the finer nuances of these panels, we're talking about triple black, black anodized aluminum frames, black monocrystalline wafer cells for super high efficiency and good power output. Some of the best warranties on the market, 25-year, 91, 92% output, all the way out to year 25. And then an anti-reflective coating on the front facade of the glass to really elevate the aesthetics. These also have really high front load mechanical tolerance, so they perform really well in high snow load areas like Park City, Jackson Hole.
Some of the benefits of why customers may want to install solar, there's various reasons why folks want to do that. A few of them are energy independence, grid backup, time of use savings, which is going to continue to become more popular with utilities, 30% tax credit on the battery system, and also just the ability to enjoy the benefits of solar energy 24 hours a day when the sun isn't shining.
Awesome. Yeah, to really understand how solar complemented with battery storage works, I think we need to take a step back and look at how the average homeowner or business owner pays for their electricity, their energy, by the utility provider out here. When you purchase energy with or without solar, you're paying a high rate for your retail value for energy. When you introduce solar energy into the equation, now you're reducing your dependence on the grid, you're reducing how much energy you're consuming from the grid, but you're also dependent on a good, fair, reasonable rate structure from the utility. Many utility providers will pay a reduced compensation rate for the portion of solar that's exported back to the grid. When you introduce battery into the equation, you close that gap. You close that delta between retail rate and export solar energy rate. So adding battery storage to your solar PV project closes that gap and allows you to then use all of your solar energy at that higher retail value and help with the economics of the project. On top of those benefits you mentioned, battery energy independence and having emergency preparedness resiliency.
So there's many reasons why customers want to install rooftop solar by itself, but there's various benefits if you install both rooftop solar with a storage system. Solar is going to create some energy independence for you, but to really maximize that benefit, you include a storage system. And if you do it at the same time as you are installing the solar, you also benefit by being eligible to get the 30% tax credit on the entire project. Time of use savings is another big benefit to having a storage system. Times of the day where we have high costs of energy from the utility, a storage system is really going to benefit you. Additionally, you're able to enjoy the solar energy 24 hours a day. So even when the sun's not shining, you can still maximize your solar system with a storage system.
Super. Yeah, at Creative Energies, we have a lot, I'd say hundreds of early adopters that have installed solar alone, years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And a lot of those early adopter clientele are coming back to us now asking about battery. And that's great. We can certainly complement and add a battery storage system to their existing solar. But the real cost savings come into play when you couple those together and you do that efficiently in one project. So really, we're encouraging folks now in this market to do solar plus battery storage. You benefit from economy of scale. You benefit from one building permit, reduce all those soft costs that go into a project. If we were to stage a project out into phases, phase one being solar photovoltaics is grid tied. That's also grid dependent. We do all our design work, permitting work, all of that for the PV system that's grid tied. When you come back and you stage that out, we go through all that process again, another set of design work, another building permit, another truck roll, reconfiguring that initial solar project into the automatic transfer switch that's part of the battery system. So much more efficient, much lower cost for clients to consider doing solar plus battery storage all at once up front.
So with the numerous benefits of a storage system, there's also some limitations as well. We have a lot of folks that come to us wanting whole home backup, for example. And although a battery system can back up quite a few loads in your house, there is often some limitations there. Heavy loads such as a AC unit, we typically recommend to exclude from the battery backup because of just that heavy load discharging your battery at such a rapid rate when the grid goes down. A lot of folks also think batteries are going to take them off grid, but the truth is you're still attached to the grid and grid dependent. So those are a few things to consider when you're thinking about installing a storage system.
Yeah, those are great points, and I would echo that sentiment. If you live in a civilization and you're connected to the utility grid, you've got to dance with the devil. So that grid connection never goes away. You're still going to be connected to the utility, but you can mitigate how much you interact with that utility, right? Battery storage systems are not one size fits all. Our role in this company is to really go out and consult with the client and ask those deep probing questions to find out, like, what is it that you're hoping to achieve? What are the desired hours of autonomy? How many loads do you want to back up? Is this true whole home backup? Do we want to exclude some of those loads that can rapidly deplete a battery, like you mentioned, an air conditioning system, a level 2 EV charger, heat tape for on your rooftop that's going to minimize ice damming, that's designed to melt out snow? That stuff takes a tremendous amount of energy. If we can, we want to exclude those loads, those circuits from the battery system. Other things we'd want to, preferably exclude would be hot tubs, things like that. So is the client willing to change some behaviors during a grid failure? If the grid's up, battery's going to perform great. It's going to offset all of those loads we just talked about. Air conditioners, heat tape, hot tubs, EV chargers, you name it, it's going to interact and reduce or minimize the interaction with the grid. But in a grid failure scenario where the lights are out in neighborhoods in the city, or a brownout or a blackout, is the client willing to change some behaviors? If so, we can talk about what the right size would be. We've got numerous battery manufacturers that we work with, and we've got numerous power outputs, depth of capacity of energy storage that we can propose. And we'll work one-on-one with the client to find the right solution. So Creative Energies works with a variety of different battery and solar manufacturers. For the battery system, we work predominantly with Tesla and Enphase. But we also have other options out there: Solarc, Simplify, Fortress, custom-built battery cabinets. But for most folks, Tesla or Enphase is really going to check the box for what you're hoping to do. If you have a shade-free site that's not a complicated roof line, Tesla is going to be an amazing bang for your buck, a really great value proposition that'll meet most homeowners' needs. And again, we can scale the system to whatever the homeowner might desire. Enphase will be an excellent solution. If you have some shade, if the roof line is prone to some shade, whether it be chimneys or trees or a complicated roof, that'll be a good option. If you're thinking about redundancy and backup preparation in the form of a generator, Enphase will also work really well with the generator. It seamlessly integrates. The generator will just top off the battery, and then turn back off so you're not upsetting neighbors during a grid failure duration. That generator doesn't have to keep running all night long. Tesla's going to be, again, a really good value proposition. Some of these other key considerations for the installation that's going to be the best fit for you are we installing the battery system indoors or outdoors? We generally prefer to put our batteries in a climate-controlled environment, but we also need to find the right solution for where does that battery live. You know, there's some considerations like fully sheetrocked, fire prevention with a smoke and a heat sensor, installing the battery in a non-living unit, non-bedroom, non-bathroom, non-living room. Generally a utility room or a detached garage might check that box.
Yeah, those are great points. And, you know, every project is unique and slightly different. And, you know, folks have different needs, different budgets, different desires on what they want to get out of a system. So I think, you know, sitting down and having a one-on-one consultation call with one of the sales professionals here at Creative Energies can start you down that path of finding what's going to work best for you.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk a little bit about that process. Like, how do we find the right solution for the client? You know, generally we start with the conversation. We want to be informed on our end, so we'll generally ask our clients that are interested in a system like this to disclose the energy profile of the home. That means sending us a power bill. It's that simple. From that power bill, we can then determine what the home's energy load profile looks like, not just over an annual basis, but also really granular, month by month and seasonally, you know, and then overlay what that usage looks like with when solar is going to produce at its peak, when it's going to ebb and flow, when it's going to produce at its least around the wintertime, and then use those energy usage signatures benchmarked against the solar energy production to find out what do the true economics look like. We're going to really analyze this to show you what a break-even point might look like. What does your return on investment look like? And then also have those probing questions with the client to find out, like, what are we going to change? What do we not know about that's reflected in your energy bill right now that might change down the road? Are we adding a hot tub? Are we adding an electric vehicle? You know, if we're adding electric vehicles, how many miles annually are you driving that EV? Are we charging it 100% on site at home? Or do you have a reliable place offsite to charge that? And we can adjust that energy profile accordingly. A lot of clients that I work with are switching to heat pumps as well. That fully changes the calculus. And then you might be looking at a little bit different mismatch with solar energy production and peak usage during the winter solstice months, right? So yeah, the moral here is a lot of probing questions, a lot of consultation with the client to figure out what the right fit is.
Yep. All great points. And then really to you know, continue down that process once we've had that consultation call, we'll follow it up with a site visit to confirm your electrical, take a look at the roof and just overall layout of the site to determine what's going to work best. So
Yep. An inspection of the structural, an inspection of the home's electrical system, cataloging all the loads in the home to know what exactly are we backing up, what can we possibly exclude from backup, and then what behavior changes is the client willing to make during grid failure. All of those go into finding that right fit.
Yep. If you feel like solar and storage is something that might be a benefit to you and you're interested in looking at that further, Creative Energies would love to have that discussion with you. We love partnering with our local community. And we're here to create energy independence and stronger, more resilient communities.
Solar and battery right now, it's a really exciting time. Technology has come a really long way. We're thrilled to work with folks out there in the community to really make a more resilient, more robust community, do right by the environment, do right by the community. If you're interested in solar and battery storage, reach out to us. We'd love to help.